Welcome and aloha. How's it, everybody in our Flow Hana? We've got a really special treat for you today. It's our Release Readiness Live Hana Ho bonus edition, where we have exclusive Flow content with all the Flow PMs. And before we get into that, I want to go ahead and tell you about our forward-looking statement, which is, of course, please make any product decisions based on our current product purchasing decisions based on our current product catalog. Because we are going to be telling you about a lot of really interesting content, some of which is future-looking, and it's definitely very interesting, but we have to make you aware of that. So let's go ahead and start with some introductions. I'm Jason Teller. I'm going to be telling you about our Flow templates and automation home functionality, as well as Process Builder.
I'm Shannon Hale, and I'm going to talk about all the exciting new things we have in Flow Builder this summer.
And I'm Alex Edelstein. I'm looking forward to talking about some powerful things you can do with rich web objects in Flow.
All right, well, without further ado, let's get right into it. We are very proud to announce, as of TDX last week, our Flow Templates functionality, and we launched on our Flow Solutions store the ability to get Flow templates from our partners. What are Flow templates? They basically allow you to jumpstart your automation development with pre-built business processes. These things help you eliminate blank canvas anxiety and allow you to tap into industry best practices. If you're wondering how something should be done from a subject matter expert, all you have to do is get the template and run through it, and there you have it. One of the great things about Flow templates is that once you have this template, you can make a copy of it, and you can then customize it to your specific business needs. And while you do all of that, you don't have to worry because the original template will still be there. So as a partner or as a customer, you can go ahead and receive any sorts of upgrades you have to those pre-built business processes. We had a number of partner-built templates that we actually launched on our Flow Solutions category in the App Exchange, and I'll show you those in a minute. But let's first off take a look at how you would actually create one of these Flow templates. If I'm actually looking at this Process Builder process here, how would I actually create a template? Well, all I have to do is click on Edit Properties, and inside of the properties, you can see there's this checkbox for template. Once I click the checkbox and save, I will actually have a Flow template for a Process Builder process. Now here you're asking, well, what about flows? Well, if I go to a flow, all I have to do is click on the Edit button here, and in the flow detail information, all I have to do is click on Template and save it, and there you have it. There's a template column that you can add that shows that this is now a Flow template. One of the really cool things about Flow templates is, like I said, they come with packages. How do you differentiate something that's packaged inside of a managed package for a partner that is not a template? You can see here that with a non-templated flow, you can only run them. You can't actually open and take a look at them. But with anything that is a Flow template, you can go ahead and open those up and then save them as a copy to go ahead and customize to your heart's content. Now, one of the cool things about the Flow templates is that it helps us, we can actually access them from our new Flow modal. This is something we're introducing new in summer of 19. If you look here, you can see that Add Account Member template that I just added is there. But if we go down, there's another template I want to talk about, and that is our questionnaire template. If I go ahead and click on the questionnaire template, you can see that I have a set of questions that come out here from a number of different screens. This is all templatized by one of our partners, Summits, and you can walk through what you can do with that particular template. So let's take a look at what this template looks like in action. So basically, when I go here, I have a questionnaire. That's a custom object that came with the template itself, and then a number of questions that I created associated to that questionnaire. And here's the questionnaire as a template. I get a nice image or graphic. I get the question. You can actually change the icons. All of this stuff is pretty flexible. In this case, I decided to put together a Hawaiian vacation questionnaire. Let's say I do want to go on vacation in Hawaii. What would I like to do? Would I like to go hiking in the mountains, or would I like to sun myself on the beach? I'm going to go ahead and pick sunny beaches. What about that butter mochi or shaved ice that I talked about in the last Release Readiness Live? Which one would I pick? Well, you know what? I'm on vacation, so I'm going to take both. What about a pina colada or a Mai Tai? Well, you know what? Let's try some of that fresh coconut cream. Let's go with a pina colada. So as you can see here, we have our questionnaire. It takes all the information, pulls it in for you. You have a completed questionnaire. You've gathered all that data. This type of template is really great, not only because it gives you this questionnaire capability, which is really useful if you want to, say, do something like a loan onboarding process or ask people again about a vacation or something you want to specify, but it shows you a lot of the really powerful stuff that Flow can do baked into the questionnaire, embedding images inside of a screen flow, overriding the Chrome so you don't have to use next and back. You can just click on a button and have it advance the page. All this great stuff baked into this particular questionnaire. So one of the cool things, that's a lot of the great things you can do with questionnaires. How do I get more of these types of templates? Well, all you have to do is click on Get More in the App Exchange, or you can go directly to our App Exchange Flow Solutions Store link. And as you can see here, we have a number of partners that have actually built Flow templates for us that you can go ahead and leverage these pre-built business processes. Here's the questionnaire from 7 Summits. We have a profile wizard that you can also modify, get feedback for surveys. We actually have a healthcare taxonomy code template, payments templates, document generation, even just opportunity manipulation, things like that. Lots of great ideas out here on the templates, and we're actually getting more and more every day. So if you have an idea for a template, please let us know. We can go ahead and get it added here to this Flow Solutions category on the App Exchange. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is something that's been really, really cool for a lot of folks and was really, really popular at TDX as well, and that is the ability to actually have custom metadata types inside of Process Builder. So this is really easy. I've set up a custom metadata type, and I've set up an associated record. When I go to Process Builder and I click on something like Add Criteria here, all I have to do is click on, say, the formula, and when I look in the system variable here, and I click here, the first thing I see is actually the reference to custom metadata. I click on the reference to custom metadata, and I can go each level down to get to the exact field that I want in the custom metadata type. In this case, I created custom metadata around Hawaiian desserts. And Haupia. For those of you who don't know, Haupia is actually coconut cream. It's really great, typically made into a pudding. But in this case, there's a very special version of Haupia that I personally like, and that is Haupia ice cream. So there you have it, custom metadata type for Hawaiian desserts. Haupia ice cream is the choice of the day. If you're ever in Hawaii, I highly recommend you go try some Haupia ice cream. So that's another great feature that we added in summer of 19. The third thing that I want to talk about in terms of features for summer 19 is our automation home. This is really, really cool. It's basically a home page for all the automation processes that you can use. Really nice stuff because you get here, you can see the usage about all your different automations, how much have you used in the last 30 days. There's a great section here on getting started where you can go to our Flow Solutions category. You can actually go to our Developer Center and get reference points around webinars and videos and content around that. Obviously, we connect to Trailhead here as well. And you can go into the Trailbation community, get any of your questions answered about Flow and automation in general. We also have the ability up here to do a quick create of any of these different types of automations, as you can see. And then finally, we have a number of metrics that are provided. In this case, what I'm seeing is the initial view where it basically shows by process type, the number of executions or runs and the usage of the different processes that you have in these metrics. This is actually a developer demo org. This will be the default that you typically see. For active or production orgs, you'll see something different. And if I go back to my presentation here, you'll see something that looks like this. And basically, it gives you additional metrics around the screen flows by the name, so you will understand what is the top most used screen flow inside of your org. It will also give you the average completion time by flow name for the last day, as well as any errors by flow name for those screen flows that may have occurred in the last 30 days. So a lot of really cool stuff we're doing here around the automation home. We're looking to add more telemetry in this particular area, as well as a few other sort of analytics types of analysis type of features, such as process relationships, being able to see the given processes associated with an object or a platform event, the associations between processes, and then also possibly a getting started wizard. A lot of folks have asked, is there any way I can understand which process automation tool I can use? And we're looking at baking something like that into our automation home as well. As you can see, it's a beta functionality that we've come up with for summer. So if you have any additional feedback, that's definitely welcome. But it's actually a really, really good starting point, and we're pretty excited about what we can do with this. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Shannon.
Thanks, Jason. I have this weird sudden urge to take a vacation in Hawaii and eat a lot of ice cream. I don't know where that came from. Well, in summer 19, we're continuing the work that we started in spring with the new Flow Builder. And we have a number of features that people called out that they were really interested in having, and I'm happy to say we got about 5 of the top 6 or 7 in. So I'm just going to jump right to the demo. All right, to start with, I'm just going to jump into this onboarding resellers flow. And what I want to do in this flow is I have a bundle decision. When people on the previous screen choose a bundle, we basically go through and create various records associated with it. And so if I take a look at the Dynamo X1 create records, you can see that I have a fair number of fields that I have to fill in for this. Now, in spring, we basically would have had to have gone through and added a new create records and gone through that whole thing again. But in summer, thanks to copy and paste, we simply go to the copy and paste button and copy it. And now if I go down here and double click on it again, you can see that I have basically exactly the same thing. And what I'm going to go do here is this is going to be for the Fuse bundle, so I'm just going to copy the product ID. I know none of you are actually working with hard-coded product IDs in your orgs. And we are going to change this to be the add Fuse X1, and we're done. So that was a lot faster. But what if I want to actually create copies of multiple items? Well, I'm going to go into the manager and I'm going to take a look for the reseller action that I have for creating reseller agreements and copying them to a record via Quit. And I'm just going to find the copy reseller agreement. And you'll notice that I have highlight in Canvas. So we can now go and take a look at this copy reseller agreement. We basically want to take all three of these actions and repeat them because we're going to copy different records. Now in this case, I can use Shift-click to select multiple records. And then I also want to Shift-click on the connectors because what will happen is it will copy only what I have selected. And so now if I go here and I do a copy, and we have all of the elements that we selected and we can simply go in and modify them. Now, suppose I didn't actually want those. Now we can simply go in and undo it, and redo it, and undo it, up to a few levels of undo. The last feature that I wanted to show you that everyone, I think, will be excited about is rich text editing. So in the display text, we can actually select the text that we're using here, and let's make the font size a few sizes larger. So we'll have a 20-point font size, and you can see that this is now reflected in the display text. So that's all the new stuff that we got in Flow Builder. I have a few more things to tell you about that are coming up if you're wondering where your favorite feature request went. But for now, it wouldn't be Flow without a few extension points for the programmatic seams. And Alex, why don't you tell us about those?
Thank you very much, Shannon. I'd love to tell you today about a very powerful new feature in Summer 19. Rich web objects are the name we've given to the kind of information that commonly comes back when you make a call on the internet. And what you see on the screen here are two different examples of that. On the left, you've got an example of the kind of data that comes back when you make a call to DocuSign to get a document or an envelope. And on the right, you see a call that you might get back with the information from a call to QuickBooks over on Intuit's cloud. And now, if you're a coder, you know what to do with these. You can parse these up, extract the data that you need, and move on. But we wanted to make it easier for Flow users to be able to manipulate all of this rich data inside of Flow. So let me give you an example of what we're going to do here. In this example, I am going to be pulling data back from a web call, which is actually an API that I'm hosting on MuleSoft. And in fact, if we switch over here to my terminal, you can see that this is a live example. So I'm going to make a call right over the internet to this API endpoint, and you can see here on the terminal that it's returning a lot of rich data. And like a lot of internet calls, the data is not necessarily all simple. Here we've got 3 different product SKUs and 3 different image links, all kind of batched together in this one piece of information. So what we want to do, if we switch back to this slide, you can see that what I'm going to do, what I'm interested in doing is turning that internet data into 3 Salesforce records so that I can then use them comfortably in Salesforce. So I'm going to do that with this flow. And I'm going to walk you through the flow right here because it happens so quickly and doesn't even have any screens to look at, that this will help you understand what's going on. Now we're going to start by retrieving the web data, and that data is going to come back, and it's going to come back in a JSON form. But instead of writing code at this point, we're going to use flow. We're going to extract some of the pieces of information that are nested inside that rich web data. And then we're going to use some loops inside of flow to process all of that information and turn it into 3 product records that we're going to finish up by saving so that we have them persistently saved in Salesforce. So if we now turn back and you see that here, I've got my products in my org, and let's reload this. You can see that I've got some products here, but I don't have any of those cat main products. And so now let's go and run the flow. So here I'm going to hit run. It immediately starts, it's going out, it's hitting that endpoint, it's already back. And if we go back to our products and refresh, you'll see that sure enough, we've now got our 3 product records and we've separated them out. The right SKUs are in the right place and the right picture links are associated with the right products. So let me talk a little about how this is done and how you set this up. Let's go back to the slides. There's a one-time setup process that starts with that JSON, that data that comes back from the API. And what you do is you start by copying that information, and then you use a website like JSON to Apex to convert it to Apex. You're not actually needing to write code here, but what you're doing is you're creating a template in Apex that matches that particular JSON shape. Once you do this, you thereafter have the Apex, and you take that Apex, you save it into Apex classes, and the final piece that you do here is you add that Aura-enabled attribute, that annotation that basically allows Apex to inform Flow what parts of the Apex object can be accessed in Flow. Now, what do you get in exchange for all of this setup work? Well, what happens is Flow gains the ability to actually access that information as an Apex-defined variable. And you can see here that that's exactly what's going on. So let's take a look in the actual flow itself, and you can see in the manager that I've got these Apex-defined variables and collection variables to store all of that incoming web data. And if I create a new one, I can select Apex defined, and it will show me all of the Apex classes that exist in the organization that are exposed to Flow. So this is an example of what we refer to as write once, customize everywhere. You have to set up that Apex type via that template one time, but thereafter, anyone using Flow without writing any code can do things like this. You can see here that we're reaching into the incoming MuleSoft product and grabbing the identifiers. And if we go back, you can see here that identifiers was this data structure buried deep inside this object. And so we're able to extract that now, work with it inside of Flow in this assignment, and carry out all sorts of valuable operations on that object in a fully declarative way. So a very powerful extension of the integration capabilities of Flow, and that allow you to really get a lot of leverage, not just from MuleSoft endpoints, although that's a fabulous way to tie your non-Salesforce data to your Flow automation, but to any API endpoint you want to access on the internet. So with that, Shannon, you want to talk a little about where we can learn some more? Sure.
So we have a few places where you can get more information about all of these topics. The Lightning Flow Developer Center, of course, always has a link to all of the latest documentation and other resources like blog posts, the Trailblazer community, the Salesforce automation group, is a great place to ask questions. And both Alex and I, and sometimes Jason, are actually in there answering questions quite frequently. Jason already talked about the flow solutions on AppExchange, where you can get not only templates, but components and other great flow things. And last but not least, we have unofficialsf.com, where you can find more tutorials, components, and other great content for learning flow. So I wanted to talk just briefly about some of the idea exchange ideals that we delivered in summer 19. The big one, copy, paste, clone flow elements, using custom metadata types in Process Builder. We made some changes to dependent pick lists so that you can actually see the label instead of the API name, and you can make them required. We added rich text. And last but not least, when you are editing a flow and you click the back button, it now goes back to wherever you launched it from, be that the flows list page or the detail page. So that's going to be a big time saver. And finally, our forward-looking statements. The big one that I'm excited about, at least, is one of the last things that people were requesting when Spring 19 came out, which is being able to click and drag to select multiple elements through a marquee, and also to be able to activate things from Flow Builder. Alex's team is working on lookup screen components. We are looking at conditional visibility in screens so that you'll be able to actually hide and show fields based on the value of another field in the screen. We have flow error events. And in next best action, we're looking at integrating Einstein predictions so that you actually can really get into the insights. Jason, do you want to talk about further out?
Oh, sure. So for our further out functionality, Safe Harbor, this is coming to a release near you. This would be easier management of flows and processes. So basically, we're thinking about updating that flow list view to something that's sort of Lightning compatible, where you can actually see and filter all your different flows and processes in one place. We're going to be looking at doing scheduled flows. So imagine a flow that you could actually run, say, on a timer against, say, a bunch of records that you'd like to have it run on at some period of time that repeats. So really, really cool stuff in terms of being able to schedule flows in advance. Also, we're looking at automatic output handling. That's something that Alex's team's working on, where basically you don't actually have to define a variable for the output that comes from a call that you actually make or you want to pull in. We're also looking at additional custom metrics, all that information that I talked about in the automation homepage. We're going to be providing you the ability to actually define a node where you would like to collect the metrics and then allow you to report off of those metrics generated from those nodes. We're also looking at doing process builder before triggers. This is basically functionality to help you enhance the bulk operations performance of process builder. So that way you don't necessarily go into some of these recursive loops and you go ahead and use a before trigger to do custom field updates in a very performant manner. And then finally, of course, we continue our cadence of creating more out-of-the-box screen components to allow you to easily build those flow screens and give you those dynamically engaging digital experiences that you're looking for. So lots of great stuff in Flow coming in winter, and even more great stuff as we look forward towards the future.
Is that your close?
Oh, well, I was going to do a wrap, but we could close there.
His close, he does a little tap.
Yeah, for like a hula. No, I was just going to say, wow, so that's a lot of Flow all at one time. It's a good thing we recorded all this so you can go back and take a look at all the stuff that we gave you inside of summer. And with that, I just want to say back to our Flohana, mahalo nui loa, thank you very much. And we are PAL for summer 19, but come back here for our winter 20 release. You can see even more great stuff that we were just telling you about.